PM. Jennifer, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Christian?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver? Miss Oliver, sorry.
Here.
Mr. Patel?
Here.
Ms. Spector Bishop?
Here.
Ms. Unicall?
Here.
And Ms. Shu?
Here. Excellent. Thanks, Jennifer. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Thanks, Maura. Can I get a second? Thanks, Barbara. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Great. This is easy. We should do it like this. Okay. New trustee appointment. We will start with an appointment of Adam Baser to fill the trustee vacancy until May 2027. Can I have a motion from the board to approve Adam's appointment? So moved. Thanks, Janet. Seconded by Nimesh.
Second.
Great. And voice vote on this one. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations, Adam. Welcome to the board. Yeah, okay, great. We will now move on to the part that you're all here for, the swear in trustees.
You just.
I was taking it with me. I thought we were doing it.
Oh,
there.
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just sit here and be quiet. We totally know what we're doing.
Okay, so we are going to do this one at a time. And we are going to start with Nimesh. Please join me. Okay, right here. I state your name,
I, Nimesh Patel,
having been elected to the office of library trustee
having been elected to the office of library trustee
in the village of Northbrook in the county of Cook,
in the village of Northbrook, county of Cook,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of library trustee to the best of my ability.
of the office of library trustee to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You did the hard one. You did the hard part. You did it like this. Okay, next up, Barbara. Sorry, I'm gonna make you
Trip over all these things.
like to make things complicated.
Well done, Stacy.
Okay, ready? I state your name,
I, Barbara Unical,
having been elected to the office of library trustee
having been elected to the office of library trustee
in the village of Northbrook in the county of Cook,
in the village of Northbrook in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of library trustee
of the office of library trustee
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability. Thank you.
Adam, you're next. I don't know if these were in a particular order.
I don't think it,
Okay, great.
as long as everyone gets sworn in, I think we're good.
At like 50% now.
100%, yeah.
Well, 50, exactly. Okay, I state your name,
I, Adam Baser,
having been elected to the office of library trustee
having been elected to the office of library trustee
in the village of Northbrook
in the village of Northbrook
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of library trustee
of the office of library trustee
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Okay, Bryce, you're up. She's a whole cheering squad here, so we.
Like walk up music.
Walk up music.
Next time, 2027, Janet. Okay. I state your name,
I, Bryce Buden,
having been elected to the office of library trustee
having been elected to the office of library trustee
in the village of Northbrook
in the village of Northbrook
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of library trustee to the best of my ability.
of library trustee to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Not yet.
Not yet. Sorry, snacks still forthcoming. Okay, moving on to the presentation of slate of officers. I believe Barbara has an update from the nominee.
Yes, the nominating committee has approved the slate of officers as follows. President Stacy Oliver, Vice President Janet Spector Bishop, Treasurer Nimesh Patel, and Secretary Barbara Unical.
Thank you, Barbara. Are there any nominations from the floor? Seeing none. Can I get a motion to approve the slate of officers as presented by the nominating committee?
So moved.
And a second. Thanks. Let Jennifer sort that out. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations, everyone. Our next order of business is that we need to appoint an Open Meetings Act officer. This does not require a motion, so we are going to appoint Kate Hall, Executive Director of the Northbrook Public Library, as our Open Meetings Act officer. She has been serving in the role capably and will continue to do so. Okay. There's no
Yeah.
photos for that one.
My fondest wish.
Okay, I actually don't know the order for this. Our next agenda item is recognition of outgoing board members and approval of resolutions. We have 2 outgoing board members to recognize this evening. I assume I read these and then we approve them. Okay. We are going to start with the recognition of Jamie Shu, and I will read the resolution. Whereas Jamie Shu has dedicated her time, energy, and expertise to the Northbrook Public Library as a trustee since 2016, and whereas Jamie has served as board treasurer with exceptional attention to detail, ensuring the library maintains its responsibility as a prudent steward of taxpayer funds, and whereas Jamie's measured approach and steady guidance during the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic provided the library with clear direction, allowing continued service to the community during unprecedented times. And whereas Jamie's insights and thoughtful contributions have shaped many major projects, including the 2021 RFID implementation and circulation lobby renovation and 2018 collaboratory project. And whereas Jamie's thoughtful scrutiny and commitment to excellence have strengthened policies that align with the library's core values, and whereas Jamie's unwavering commitment to the library's future were key in helping us secure funding for long-term facility improvements, including the 2018 collaboratory project and the 2020 approval of the $4 million bond for future enhancements, and whereas Jamie's presence, perspective, and advocacy for both staff and patrons have made a lasting impact on our institution, and whereas her dedication over 9 years of service has helped build a library that is not only a place of knowledge, but also a welcoming and evolving community hub. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Northbrook Public Library expresses its deepest gratitude to Jamie Shu for her years of leadership, meticulous oversight, and tireless service to the library and community. Sure.
And we have a little something to present to Jamie.
So. Oh, sure. I'm supposed to say something. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And, oh, Kelly's, I guess, are we doing like a?
This isn't awkward at all.
You don't even know Okay, we are also going to recognize Jake Lobinger, who is hiding a little bit.
We'd like to
Sure.
invite Jay closer.
Jay, would you like to join us at the table?
Sure.
Last time.
Do you want to sit where Kelly was?
Sure.
Welcome back. It's like you never left.
Change that.
Hand him the gavel. Okay. Whereas Jay Globinger has dedicated his time, energy, and expertise to the Northbrook Public Library as a trustee since 2010, and whereas Jay has served in multiple leadership roles, including treasurer, vice president, and president, demonstrating unwavering commitment to the library's mission, and whereas Jay served as a library board representative on the Village of Northbrook's Economic Development Committee, ensuring the library's role as a key community resource, and whereas Jay's leadership, particularly during the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, provided steady guidance and thoughtful decision-making, which helped the library continue serving the community during a turbulent time. And whereas Jay's insights and thoughtful contributions have shaped many major projects, including the 2021 RFID implementation and circulation lobby renovation, 2018 collaboratory project, and the 2015 auditorium renovation. And whereas Jay's legal knowledge informed valuable updates to key policies in the Employee Handbook and General Policy Manual. And whereas Jay's fiscal responsibility, strategic thinking, and deep care for the library's future were instrumental in securing funding for long-term facility improvements, including the 2015 auditorium renovation, 2018 collaboratory project, and the 2020 approval of the $4 million bond for future enhancements. And whereas Jay's presence and support for staff and patrons alike have made a lasting impact, and whereas his dedication has helped build a library that is not only a place of knowledge, but also a welcoming and evolving community hub. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Northbrook Public Library expresses its deepest gratitude to Jay Globinger for his years of leadership, thoughtful stewardship, and tireless service to the library and the community.
Okay.
Howie, I'm gonna give you a
All
hug.
Before I ask for a motion to approve the resolutions, I wanted to invite any of our current board members, if they had anything they wanted to say about Jay or JD and their time working with them. This would be an excellent time to do so.
I'll go first. I'll just try to be quick, but I just wanted to thank both of you together because the years of service that you folks have put forward for the library is amazing. And I've learned a lot from both of you, Jay, through kind of the stewardship of your role. And we've all benefited from the collaboratory, so hearing that is really cool. And Jamie, you and I were sort of the company corporate people, so I always enjoyed sort of your thoughtful view of issues and your conviction towards them. So thanks for being a good mentor.
Continue. I wanted to thank both of you for your mentorship as well. I think that you two are the only ones who were on the board when I began that are still here. So thank you very much for setting a very high bar and an excellent example.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Thanks to Jamie and to Jay for welcoming me onto this board where I felt I didn't know quite what I was doing, but always making me feel like right from the start that I was a part of it. And I've been in awe of and impressed with your service about the library.
Well, Jamie and I have been seat buddies for 4 years now. We'll miss you terribly. But thanks to both of you for leadership and guidance and for giving your time. It's not something that you don't have the luxury of unless you choose to. So thank you for the gift of your time and for your thoughtful leadership.
Thank you to both of you. I can't imagine having done any of this without you. And I especially am grateful for maybe the last 8 months. I don't know how many times I've called either of you or asked somebody to meet me somewhere. And I'm just really grateful for the care that you show for their community and how you've shown up for other board members and the way you've role modeled what the board can be and how we can work together. And you will definitely be missed, but you are always welcome to come back as a member of the public. And I hope you still answer my calls and text messages. Jay's going to walk out and immediately block. Anyone else? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the resolutions honoring outgoing trustees Jamie Shu and Jake Lovinger for their years of service to the library board?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second? Seconded by Maura. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Congratulations and thank you both.
Thank you.
And we are now going to take a 15-minute recess for the delicious looking treats that are in the corner.
And this is
Welcome back, everyone. We are at agenda item number 6, the consent agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to pull out of the consent agenda and move to new business this evening? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thanks, Janet. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. And we will need a roll call vote.
Mr. Baser,
Aye.
Ms. Budin,
Aye.
Ms. Christian,
She left.
Maura left.
Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't.
Ms. Oliver,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Inspector Bishop.
Yes.
Ms. Unical.
yes.
Public comment. All of our public have left off. Shift that up early. Well, that was fun while it lasted. Okay, staff reports, Kate.
So I just want to start with a couple thank yous. First, it's my first board meeting since I was off for a month, and I just want to thank all of the board for kind of granting me, obviously I had the time off, but also just being okay with me taking a full month off. It was very much appreciated and was helpful and restorative. And I also want to extend tremendous kudos to Kelly Durov and thanks for her being in charge, because that also made it much easier for me to take that amount of time off. And no surprise, by all accounts, I heard she did just a phenomenal job on all fronts, which again, not a surprise in the least, but I want to thank her for all of her efforts. And I know that Becky and Anna also were tremendously supportive of her during that time. And I heard that Jennifer was very helpful during the putting together of the board packet. Since this was last month was Kelly's first board meeting and putting together the whole packet. So lots of thanks to go around and very much appreciated, and have been slowly easing my way back in, getting up to speed on things. And with that, we did have our staff development day last Friday, which was fantastic. Becky did an amazing job putting together a really robust line of presentation, and thanks to the board's feedback from last year, we shifted kind of some of our timing of things. So we did the staff anniversaries right before lunch, which worked beautifully. And I want to thank Nimesh and Maura, who isn't here, but Stacy and Barbara, who all came. I know it is not easy to get away, and was very thankful to have some board members there to be able to thank the staff. We had 4 staff members, and total we're celebrating 105 years of service, which is really amazing, and in all different departments and doing different things, but all having served the library for a tremendous amount of time. That same day, we also had Flamingo Friday, which is an outreach event that the village does every year to kind of help welcome new residents, and also to give out flamingos that people can put in their yards, and offer opportunities for those in the community and on your block to come together and get to know your neighbors a little bit more. And so Linda Varing, our marketing manager, and Kat Garcia were both there. I popped in, and I know Nimesh and Stacy were also there for some time, which I very much appreciate, because that was also Stacy's birthday. So she gave us doubly on her birthday, which we very much appreciated. So it was a really fun day, and am now just continuing to get ramped back up and up to speed on things.
Janet was there too. She
And-
said,
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You had on your commissioner hat. But you're right. You were there as well. I should have mentioned that. I'm sorry, Janet. Thank you, Nimesh.
she put the whole thing together.
She sure did put it together. You
The commission.
helped make it possible. It is a very fun event.
It is.
I wanted to mention a couple other things. Thank you to Adam. We now have a date for when we're visiting Schaumburg Township District Library. it is July 10th. And so Janet will unfortunately not be here. And we will be sending stuff out as we get closer, as well as looking for a place to dine afterwards. So if you perhaps have any recommendations, but Jennifer also will help us find a restaurant. If you do have any dietary restrictions, please let Jennifer know so that we can make sure that we find a restaurant that people can eat at. That is, I think, pretty important. I also wanted to mention that I put this in my report, but the Laconia Trustee Banquet is coming up on May 30th from 6 to 9 p.m. And to just I mentioned in the packet if anyone would like to attend, it is in Oak Park. It's an opportunity to connect with other library trustees from the Chicagoland area. And there is going to be a keynote speaker.
I think it's Rebecca Mackay.
Was it Rebecca Mackay? Okay, I meant to check again, and
That's what I was looking at.
the author Rebecca Mackay. So if you would like to go, we do need to note today because we're just past the deadline, but I've spoken with Kona and they said they can squeeze us in. So please let me know if you would like to attend, and we will get you registered. I also included in your blue folders, I wanted to give everyone an update on the room rental review process. And so I have a very short outline that kind of shares what the next steps are. I'm not going to go over it in detail. And just for Adam and Bryce, just so you guys are aware, one of the things the board talked about in January was doing a more thorough review of our room rental policy and involving members of the board, staff, and community in that review. Due to a number of different things happening, we kind of put that on pause until May. So now we're picking up that process again, and I'll fill you in more when we do our fuller orientation, so you guys have more of the backstory on that. But we do need 2 board members, which I'm going to be sending out an email tomorrow, so you don't have to go all in. The board members and I will then be helping look through all of the applications, of which I hope are many from the community that we get. So we'll be putting out a survey next week and also asking staff members. The plan is that June and July will be when we're meeting. So just to give you a sense of the timing for that, with the full board reviewing and hopefully approving any updates that we want to make to the policy in September. Our attorney will be involved in this. Obviously that she would be anytime we do policy updates. So that is the plan, and just wanted to give you a little bit of information and let you know that we are moving forward and have a plan and look forward to whoever on the board would like to participate.
Okay, can I just
Sure.
just get clarified, because it's a
100%.
rental policy.
It is the room.
Do you mean booking? Oh, I just wondered, because
No, it's room booking.
okay.
It's booking, and it is the policy. I realize we actually say rental in the policy title because of the auditorium.
Right, and at first I thought, oh, this is about the auditorium, and then I realized, no.
No, it's both.
Oh, okay.
So we have one policy for all of our meeting rooms, including the auditorium,
Right.
which there is a fee.
Right.
And so all of them is called room rental, but it does include room bookings that do not cost money to rent. But there are some fees if, you overstay your time or, trash the room or, so there are some fees with that. One of the things that I think we'll need to think about is whether it makes sense to separate auditorium from the other rooms, because they are a little bit different. So I think that there's going to be a lot of good discussion that we'll be able to have. And I know the staff and I have been talking. We talked about this at the managers meeting last week as well. 2 weeks ago, last week, because last week was my first week back. Yeah, last week. So yes. And so maybe we also need to consider the title.
Just wanted to make sure I understood.
Oh,
what this was
okay.
for. Yes.
Yes, so it is for all of the rooms. Any other questions on that or on any other part of my report? I'm happy to answer. Okay. Expect an email tomorrow.
Great. I
Oh.
love funding.
And I was supposed to actually have Summer go first.
Okay.
I am not doing a great job. Summer Kasuge is here to give us a presentation on what is happening this summer with summer reading. So Erin is going to just get it queued up. It's really.
Thank you all for having me here to talk about summer reading. This year, the theme is Level Up, and we are hoping to encourage everyone to have fun, to play around with sports and gaming, especially in youth, but also to promote the idea that libraries are hubs for discovery and exploration and entertainment. And that level up can also mean that you are leveling up your skill set, your hobbies, even in your profession. So the marketing department has done a really great job of capturing all of this in our promotional materials. That's with our logs, which I think are going around. They can be going around.
So
Our flyers, and then our summer reading visit or video, which we send to all the schools. It gets put on our social media. It is on the website. So I am going to play the video for you. It's not that long.
This summer at the Northbrook Public Library, get ready to level up. Sign up, read books, earn prizes. For more information or to sign up, please visit us at northbrook.info/summer-reading. Sponsored by the Friends of the Northbrook Public Library.
That's our summer reading video. Princess did all of the motion graphics. Amanda Lopez, she did the voiceover. They put it together and I think it looks really great. They've done a really good job this year. Also, so summer reading will run June 1st through August 10th. And we'll be starting off with our kickoff week, which we do every year. This year, instead of the scavenger hunt, we're going to be doing a crack the code challenge, kind of going to go with level up in the gaming theme. So instead of the scavenger hunt and looking for pictures, they're going to be visiting all the different service desks and finding hidden numbers. So you have to put the hidden numbers together in a sequence, and then you have to figure out what the code is to get the phrase. Once you get the phrase, you can turn that in. And then you will be eligible. We'll have two different gifts. One will be a $50 gift card to North Shore Comics, and the other one will be a $50 gift card to BookBin. And then we just have a bunch of different level up programming happening that first week. We'll be doing dropping games. The teens are doing a pizza and movie night. I think they're watching Dungeons and Dragons. We'll be doing stories in the park, Saturday story time, adult services. They'll be doing a movie as well. So all sorts of things that really kind of, that first week hits it pretty hard. I know in youth services, we had 1,322 people sign up in the first week. So that's babies, kids, and teens. All right, so for the adult program, adults are going to be recording the books that they read. So for every book that's read, they'll be entered into a weekly gift card drawing. And then after logging 4 books, they'll receive a coupon for the Friends Bookstore, a Northbrook Public Library bucket hat, which is not quite that one. That's the children's one. And they'll qualify for a grand prize drawing, which for the adults, it's a $200 gift card to Sunset Foods. And then there's also additional reading or additional bonus things they can do. They can complete and they'll get extra drawing tickets. So Baby looks a little different this year. We're using a different kind of log. And for this one, babies will be doing early literacy activities. So it's read, write, play, sing, and talk. And every time an activity is completed, they'll mark it off. We'll mark off one of the squares. And after 10 stars, they'll get a Kinder Music Shaker Egg, which is a massive hit in youth services. We use shaker eggs for a lot of our story times. It's a very satisfying shake. And after 20 activities, babies will receive a book and a drawing ticket to a grand prize. And I've got the grand prizes listed there. So for the youth reading program, they'll be logging days read. So for every 5 days of reading, they'll get coupon incentives and a drawing ticket for the grand prize. And at 20 days, they'll get their drawing ticket and they'll get a book of their choice. So the youth participants, they can also do bonus activities. They complete all the bonus activities. They'll also get this bucket hat, which is a little small. If you've tried to putting it on, it's for a child. Yeah. And they'll get more drawing tickets and all additional days read after the 20, they'll earn more drawing tickets. And I've got all the different drawing prizes on the side there as well. We've got some really phenomenal prizes this year. The teen program, similar to last year, they're reading for minutes. So for every 2.5 hours, they'll earn coupon incentives and drawing tickets for the grand prizes. At 10, they'll get their drawing ticket, their choice of a book. And then teens will also have the opportunity to log more reading and complete bonuses. For their bonus is a Northbrook Public Library baseball hat, which we have not received yet, but it's coming. And then they'll get more drawing tickets. And then I put in the youth and the teen coupon incentives. I just think it's really important to mention that all of these coupons are donated. We started contacting all the different vendors in February and we asked for 2,000 coupons. And for the most part, these are long-standing vendors we've been using. We have a great partnership with them and it's always an enthusiastic yes. And we really appreciate it. They donate quite a lot. And here are the incentives for the bonuses. So the youth bonus, which is the bucket hat, the teen bonus, which is the baseball hat, and then the adult completion prize is a tan bucket hat that is adult sized. And then here is our full summer reading sponsors. This is both the coupons and then with our grand prizes. So not all of our grand prizes are donated. We do buy some of them, but we are very grateful for their support. Everyone is so happy to participate and we are very happy that they are participating. Okay. Any questions? I've got numbers.
Right. So mark your calendars. June 1st is the first day every one of us can sign up.
And start logging your reading.
You'll share statistics with us.
Yeah, each month as we go. Yeah, Summer and the reading committee have a software platform that they use that they provide monthly statistics every month.
Great job.
Oh,
Thank you. I love filling out the form and I love getting the prize. So
Yeah, they've got some great prizes this year.
it just makes it very
Oh,
exciting.
Stacy would like to be a teenager.
We can fudge this one, you know?
Yesterday, some of you have already heard this and I apologize. Yesterday, I posted in the Northbrook free box that I was looking for the belt bag from last year's and got one brand new with tags within an hour.
Oh my God.
That was a victory. And then someone offered me a second one, but I declined and someone else grabbed it. So the power of Northbrook.
That belt bag
It was a hot
so
commodity.
popular.
know.
Yeah, because it was a teen prize, so we
Yes.
thought this is a teen thing. Adults, we saw younger kids come in today wearing it. So
Well, I probably sparked some interest in them again yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I have that.
Yep. Sometimes there'll be leftover prizes, and there was not a single belt bag, like. We don't have any.
not after winter. We
Oh,
had
after
that
winter,
as some
okay.
alternative prizes that we gave, and we would let the younger kids get it then, and they were gone very quick.
Not the older kids. The older kids had to source them themselves. Any other questions for someone? Okay, Thank you for being here.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for reminding me that I have another thing too that I put together. I know.
I know,
Slides.
I knew this was coming.
No, I wanted to give everyone, I know Kelly gave everyone an update and shared information on the Institute for Museum and Library Services and what is going on with that. This continues to be an ever evolving thing happening, but I did want to share with you just some kind of information from the Illinois State Library and some people I've spoken with there to just kind of give you a sense of where we are at with things. This also certainly ties in, but is separate from the dismissal, termination, firing of Carla Hayden, who was the head of the Library of Congress, and also the woman, I can never remember her name, the head of the Copyright Office has also been fired. Obviously, these are both things that will greatly impact libraries. With IMLS, there are a number of lawsuits that are pushing back against the executive order, kind of calling for the dissolution or as close as possible to the dissolution of it. And the state library is hopeful that, you know, they are moving. And of course, they have already passed through one set of courts. They expect it to be appealed, but they also are very hopeful that it seems like based on what the attorneys are updating everyone on is that they have hopes that it will be successful long term. Of course, we don't know that for sure. So the state library is taking steps in terms of what this might mean. So there is, if we don't receive the IMLS funding at the state, that's about a $5 million reduction in the state budgets, the state library budget, which is $50 million. This will potentially impact the systems and will, of course, also impact then services that the systems offer to each of us, including things like delivery and consulting and continuing education. We do not, as a reminder, receive any direct federal funding from the federal government, but the ripple effects certainly will be felt and are already being felt. We have state and federal mandates to provide data on our annual report that you'll be looking at next month. Oftentimes there's a lot of questions that come up with that. And I was told just last week that they've been trying to reach people in IMLS, and all the people that they used to talk to are gone. So it is important that all of us and all of the trustees continue to reach out to legislators. Our legislators are all very much in favor of the continuation of IMLS and recognize the importance of IMLS, the Library of Congress, the Copyright Office. What is most valuable to share with them, though, are specific stories about how libraries are serving our community and how these funds are helping. Like we circulated over 1 million items last year, and about 20% of the items that we check out come from holds. And those are holds and items that we get from other libraries. Those are items that people request, some of them for fun, some of them for serious, study or medical reasons, that they're trying to research something. That is, I don't think delivery would ever go away, but if it was reduced, say, to like once a week instead of every single day, that would inevitably have an impact on our community. Of course, I and Kelly are talking to our legislators, but they also want to hear from all of you. And that often has more meaning than when it's coming from those of us that are working in this field every day. I also wanted to take a minute just to talk about how we are planning to approach this from a library-wide perspective in terms of our messaging to the community. As you can imagine, we have patrons that are asking. As I know Kelly shared last month, we have talking points for staff and information. And of course, any reference question we're happy to answer from the community, including stuff about IMLS. Linda and I spoke at length. Kelly and I have spoken a bit, and we're going to be speaking more next week. But we all feel very strongly that it is not our job to tell our community what to do and what not to do, that we are an institution of lifelong learning, and our job is to provide information so that people can make informed decisions. And so that is the route that we are planning to take. What we have been seeing, especially in social media, is people posting things saying like, do this, do that. and the comments just completely derailing the intent and purpose. And we don't want that to happen. So what we are planning to do is focusing on giving people information and educating them about what we do in the hopes that we have many people in this community and elsewhere that will take that information and use it in reaching out to legislators. What we don't want to have happen is for us to be caught in a crossfire, especially in social media comments, which can be caught, we've seen happen, in libraries all over the country, but also even here in Northbrook on other topics. And so our focus will be on providing information and providing resources so people can be informed with accurate information, but not directing people to say like, come support the library, or giving any indication that, oh, if you don't do this, we're going to not be able to offer story times, or we won't be able to get holds. We're not going to be engaging in any of that. And we'll be working next week on a more formal strategy around how we want to be communicating that. So I wanted to share all of that and see if any of the board members have any other questions for me about what's going on IMLS. It literally changes day by day. So who knows? Something may also have happened this afternoon that I'm not yet aware of, but any questions on kind of how we're going to be approaching this, or on what we all can do?
I just think that the more you can connect the concept with how it impacts the person,
Yeah.
the better it is. Are you aware that when you put a book on hold,
Yeah.
this will happen or may
Yes.
not happen? Do you know
Mhm.
that? Because I think unless it becomes a personal impact, it becomes an abstract
Yes.
idea.
That's an excellent point. Yep.
You mentioned that you want to be careful of social media and prodding people and then whatever crossfire happens, but what about like simple printouts that are around the circulation desk? Because the folks that come into the library, be helpful for them to be aware of it, even if it's just like a little simple like stack of them near the circulation desk or something like that, so that I don't know, it's not pushing it on them or anything, but it's
Right.
also for an awareness. Like when we used to check out books and you get like a stamp or whatever, and you had to meet somebody, like you could almost make it like a bookmark almost, like just like this right here.
That is that's a good idea. Linda and I had talked about putting up stuff on our digital displays in the lobby, so it would kind of rotate with like facts and information. I will say that we also find that when we've been trying to avoid putting out stacks of paper just from a sustainability perspective. But we do that sometimes. And I think we have to look at what can we put on there and how would that be helpful. I think, again, not pushing too much, even putting something on a piece of paper and saying, hey, then we'll be, people will engage here and be like, I think this is ridiculous. People are just trying to insert whatever narrative they're going to put in there. So we are going to be very deliberate in our messaging, but I think the bookmark idea is a good one of how can we actually use this to maybe, and I know many people use bookmarks.
This could be a balance of that, and then you're
and doing
up
more,
the digital stuff, or if you put up sort of signage that has QR code to more
I'm so glad QR
information.
codes came back.
Yeah.
It's very helpful.
Yeah.
Some people use them nefarious.
Yeah, but we won't. So.
But we won't. We will use
You
them to
don't-
educate and
No,
inform.
it's not you, it's people who come in and put something over your QR.
That's true, but
Not
I'm
worth.
sure we can.
Oh,
trust
we
you.
not had that happen.
Anyway, that's not the point.
That's something that's to worry.
I would say the other benefit of doing something
Yeah.
digital and focusing less on paper, aside from sustainability, is being able to be nimble in your messaging as things continue to change and evolve, and seeing what the community response is. If you post something and it really does inflame people for whatever reason, you can then immediately adapt it versus having printed 1,000 of something or even 100 of something and being committed to that. So
Yeah.
I would lean towards digital at least to start. And I realize it doesn't have to be a one or the other, but I think at least to like wade into this, digital seems like
Mhm.
a better option.
We're assuming it's going to be multifaceted. So I think,
I have a question about, mentioned doing the staff talking points. How's that working? Like, are you changing them? Everything changes, right? Are they getting a lot of questions? Like, what's that looking like from their end?
the talking points are pretty generic.
Yeah.
We have not updated them, I think, in a week. Right? So we're not updating them every day. And I have not heard that we're getting, like, we did hear that people, right when it first happened, there was a lot. I have not heard that people are getting a lot of questions at the desk, but have you heard any?
There haven't been a lot of reports of staff getting direct questions, and I think it just goes to show what the news cycle is like. I mean, I think the Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden, being terminated happened Thursday night. There was so much other news between Thursday and Monday that I think it's been buried. And I did kind of want to just piggyback on the Library of Congress thing and mention that there is rumbling in Congress about who actually can appoint the next head of the Library of Congress. And so that is something that if you are interested in reaching out to your legislators or informing your friends and family about, it is important for legislators to hear from their constituents that they want Congress to have control over Library of Congress. Because that is something that is happening this week in Congress.
Thanks, Kelly.
Is there any direct communication with the people that use services that would be impacted? Like, reaching out by email to people that have put holds on books? Or does that cross the line into direct advocacy?
Yeah, I think we have not done that. In terms of whether it would cross a line, I don't know that it would, and it isn't a direct, so the money comes, and you guys haven't gotten this yet. We haven't done this part of your orientation, so we'll just do a little sneak peek. The money comes from IMLS. It goes to the state library. The state library funds the 3 library systems in the state, partially with state money, partially with federal money. So within that, Rails's budget includes some of that federal IMLS money. The biggest portion of funds expended by Rails is for delivery. Delivery, though, is also encoded in Illinois library law. Like, one of the things that it is a requirement that they offer is delivery services. So they don't have to offer consulting, they don't have to offer grants, they don't have to offer continuing education. They have to offer delivery. And so, but delivery is the thing that is most immediately and visibly able to be communicated as something that people understand. Like, this impacts just about every library patron in the state. Someone's put a hold on something at some point. So that is where we've been leaning in terms of the messaging. But I also think that it is the ripple effect. Illinois is one of the strongest states in terms of resource sharing. It is so embedded in our identity as libraries here. And we do it, I would argue, we are one of the strongest in the country in terms of how much we resource share and how effectively and efficiently we do it. And I mean, I remember when I was a kid and I would, you would order something and it would take 3 weeks to get here. Like, now you can order something and sometimes get it the next day or in 2 days. So we have not, because that would be the last thing that would be impacted, but it is still possible. The state library has also said that they are working on ways to increase the state library budget so that if the federal funding is removed, that we still are able to do that. Now, we're much luckier than many other states that we have a hugely supportive Secretary of State and an amazingly supportive governor. So I don't want to give any inaccurate information. And so it is accurate, but it is, in all honesty, a tiny bit of spin. So we have not. But I think if things continue, and I think that would be something. We are planning to put stuff in our e-blasts. So the next one goes out in 2 weeks, and that goes to almost every card holder. And we have a pretty good, I think it's like a 40 to 45% open rate. So
That's great.
Yeah.
But like the library, it's just great.
Any other questions for Kate on this? Okay, moving on to board member reports. Do any board members have reports?
I wanted to thank the library for being present at Flamingo Friday. As it was fun.
It was fun.
In the Villages Community Commission puts that together, and as well as a few other events during the year, and having the library participate in those makes a big difference, and partner with us on other events. We'll be talking to you soon.
We're doing it.
About other stuff. So also had the opportunity with Stacy to attend the Northbrook Originals reception, which the Northbrook partnered with the Villages Northbrook Arts Commission, and wow, full house.
It was the biggest reception we've ever had.
It was
great.
Great. Lots of amazing art up on our walls, and I encourage everyone to pause and take a look at all the local talent we have here. So it's very fun.
Anyone else? Okay. There's no unfinished business, so we will move into new business with a statistics dashboard presentation featuring Mallory, who has so patiently waited for this.
Yeah.
How you do it.
Be so much better than the abbreviated one in March. You guys are gonna be so excited.
It was just a sneak peek.
It was a sneak peek. It was
You
a
did
sneak
great.
peek. Yeah.
Wonderful. I've just got a handful of slides and then we'll get to the dashboard itself.
Can you close whatever that error
That's
message?
what I'm trying to do right now, I'm sorry.
It's so
Okay, I
hard
know
to
it's
drive
easier.
and look.
It's the cursor.
There it is. It was just by Fifth Star Collective. You just had it. Nope.
So close.
It's lagging, that's why, sorry. I got it like during the last one, but
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for letting me take up a little bit of time on your agenda this evening to give you an update about this monthly statistics project that we've been working on for several months now. Just by way of sharing a little bit more about me, again, my name's Mallory Edgar. I'm a data and evaluation consultant. I've been working with public health and social service organizations for over a decade and with public libraries for about 6 years now. Kate and I actually crossed paths in the context of some ILP related work back in 2022, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it was a mutual connection that we had, someone who worked at the Oak Park Public Library, where I previously worked as their full-time manager of data analytics, linked me up with Kate, was able to help out the ILP folks with a couple of data projects, including putting together a dashboard for them to be able to more easily share program data with all the member libraries throughout the state. So that was really fun to work on. I was really pleased when Kate reached out to me last summer about a couple of projects here at Northbrook that she wanted some help with, including this monthly statistics project. So I know that most folks are at least a little bit familiar with this project from seeing the original contract last fall, from getting some updates from Kate, but knowing that there are some new folks in the room too, and just for the benefit of getting everyone on the same page, I wanted to start off just giving a brief overview of this project, of what kind of the goals were around it, what we've done so far, and what key deliverables are. And then the bulk of the time is going to be taking a little tour through the dashboard that you got a sneak peek of back in March. All right, so let's start off with the project goals. So back at the very end of September, last year, we had our project kickoff meeting. So it was me and Kate and Kelly and Kim and Susan. And we started that meeting having a little SOAR discussion, the SOAR, an acronym. And that was really helpful for me as someone who is external to Northbrook, coming in and being able to hear directly from them about, not only kind of the current state of affairs when it comes to data at the library, what the strengths and opportunities are there, but also hearing a little bit more about what their hopes are related to data. So some aspirations kind of broadly when it comes to data at the library, and then also some results specific to this project they were interested in. So I think that the notes from that do a really good job of summarizing what the goals of this project are. So just to run through what the four of them shared with me during that meeting. So we first wanted to define what NPL's key metrics are. So the universe of data that's available about all the things that are happening at the library is pretty large, right? But not all of those pieces of data are things that are important to be tracking on a monthly basis, sharing on a monthly basis. So really wanted to get clear about what are the key pieces of data, and make sure we're capturing that in the right way, and then not spending time every single month capturing data that isn't getting used. So that was one piece. We also wanted to better align monthly data entry practices with reporting needs. And we talked about IPLAR, the annual report, a good amount, a little bit about the strategic plan too. Wanting to make sure that when we were setting up these new tools and processes, that we weren't doing it in such a way that was going to be in conflict or not supportive of that annual reporting where, maybe we're collecting program data and it's going great throughout the year, and then it comes time for IPLAR and we're like, oh man, we should have been collecting it in this way, or we needed to be able to disaggregate in this particular way and we can't. So wanted to keep that in mind as we were building. The other thing was having a streamlined way to compile and manage monthly statistics that isn't arduous for staff. So that was something that came up, is wanting to make it so this didn't feel like something that staff dreaded every month doing, and that there was also like a clear link between why it's being collected in the first place. So some specifics around this, there was a desire to retire the Access database that is being used right now. I don't know how. No, there didn't seem to be a lot of love lost thinking about getting rid of that. I can't recall how many years that has been in use now.
Brody built it. I can't remember when, maybe 2018 or 2018.
Okay. So yeah, wanting to be able to sunset that and move towards something that was a little bit more user-friendly versus an Access database. Wanted to also make more use of Google-based tools. So Northbrook is a Google-based environment. And by that, the nature of that, you automatically have access to a lot of tools that are really useful, really user-friendly, and work kind of seamlessly together from the data input piece all the way through visualization. And then this last piece, we wanted to try and decrease the amount of manual data entry and data manipulation that staff needed to do on a monthly basis. So, right now it is the case with some pieces of data where you're going into the data source, you're downloading the report, then the staff member that's doing that needs to do some cleaning of that report, do some sorting and filtering, you're adding and subtracting numbers. And then from there, you're keying in that number by hand into the Access database. And that's a lot of touch points, right? And so touch points mean more opportunities for human error because we're people and we're not machines. So we wanted to try and decrease that. It not only helps with the data accuracy and integrity piece, but also makes it easier and more straightforward, fewer steps for staff each month. They also wanted to have clear and up-to-date process documentation about how this is done every month and make sure staff know where that lives and that is the source of truth for them. We could make all these great tools, but if people don't know how to use them, they're useless. And then this last piece, which is the most relevant for the dashboard that we're going to be talking about today, is we wanted to make it easier for NPL staff and for the board to actually engage with that data. So not having it be something that we put together all these tools and it goes to a spreadsheet that a handful of people have access to and an even smaller handful actually go look at, but that it's something that is visually appealing, that's easy to digest, where someone could go in and learn a little bit more about what different resources and services look like at the library. So in terms of timeline, and I'm just gonna put all of them up right now. The way that we approach this work, it's kind of been broken into 3 phases. We're like in between 2 and 3 right now. We're kind of wrapping up 2, but also some pieces of 3 starting as well. So the first phase of the project was really about getting a sense of the data landscape here. So that went from that launch meeting in late September all the way through about the first week in January. So it was definitely more drawn out than I think even we initially anticipated. Part of it was holidays and stuff in the mix, starting something toward the end of the year. But also it just took a lot of time to be able to talk through what's being collected, with what tools, in what ways. and then learn from what is currently happening. What do you want to keep collecting? What do you want to keep collecting, but do it in a different way? What are you collecting right now that you want to give the boot to in terms of monthly data collection? So we spent a lot of time doing the data inventory piece so that then we could finalize the project plan and the deliverables list. And then moving into phase 2, this started early January. We're still in the midst of it right now. And this is kind of like the meatiest part of the project. So that first part took some time, was really important from a planning perspective. But the second phase is where like the rubber's meeting the road in terms of actually building some things. So we weren't meeting quite as regularly. It was more like weekly in this first phase, but we spread it out more because more of my time became focused on actually building the things that I could then bring back to the team to give feedback on. So it was building Google Forms, Google Sheets, mocking up the dashboard itself, and then starting to work on data retrieval and data entry procedures as well. And then phase 3 is just that wrap up and handoff. So that's we're partially in the midst of right now. You can see the board presentation was one piece of that. And then it'll be making final edits to tools and procedures, and then the all important staff rollout to make sure staff who are going to be, doing some of this data entry know exactly what's changing and what's new for moving forward. So just to recap the key deliverables for this project, there were a few different Google Forms that we use. You can see the different data categories that we ended up creating Google Forms for, that they just kind of lent themselves better to being entered in that way. Also creating a central data entry Google spreadsheet. So that's where all of this data ultimately goes to, and it's connected to and powers the dashboard. Also creating those new and updated data retrieval and data entry procedures. Of course, the Looker Studio based data dashboard. And then that last piece there is, I've done one memo already. There may be one more at the end. One of the things I've been trying to do in the midst of doing this work is make sure that we're not losing sight of some of the other things that pop up that are like, oh man, it would be really great to do this data related thing. It's outside of the scope of this project, but we don't want to lose those ideas. So I've been in the midst of this trying to keep track of all of those things and then include them in memos for the team afterwards, so they can think about future work as well. And I think that's the last piece in these slides before we'll hop over to the dashboard. Any questions about the project itself, though, before we get into the Looker Studio? No. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for your help. And Kate and Kelly, give me a thumbs down if I'm belaboring anything and taking too long when I'm going through stuff. Thank you so much. All right, turn this way and make sure I can actually drive this. Okay. So this is what the dashboard looks like when you land on the first page of it, if you're going to that live link, that live Looker Studio link. This should look familiar. I think this is the main page you shared, right? Okay, great. So this is a multi-page dashboard. You can see along the top there the titles of all the different pages that you can click to in those tabs to see more. And the way that I structured this dashboard is that you kind of get into more detail the deeper you go into it. And I did that intentionally because I wanted it to be not everybody's going to want to see all the details, right? But if we are giving folks this link and they only look at one thing and it's the first page that they land on, we wanted to have it be the simplest but still most comprehensive snapshot of those key data points for the library. I'm not sure why there's little arrows showing next to events and staff continuing education, but I'll make sure those are gone. So this is the fiscal year to date page of the dashboard. You can see, yeah, it should move over to the other side. Okay. So on this page, you can see the way that it's set up is that there's these three kinds of buckets. The categories that are color coded in the blue, the purple, and the green. And those are from Northbrook's brand standards to include those colors. We avoided the orange and the red since we didn't want to be too aggressive in the dashboard. So there's this blue section that's connecting with our community, purple that's using spaces and services, and then the green being the sharing books and materials. And so within each of those subcategories, you can see along the left side of the column, there's a little icon that shows visually what we're talking about with that particular data point. There's the name of the data point, and then the text immediately under it is a definition for it. And I wanted to make sure that we included that, because if it just said cardholders and you see 21,384, like someone who doesn't know anything about the library isn't necessarily going to know what we mean when we say cardholders. Is that new? Is it unexpired? Is it all including expired cardholders as well? So we include definitions for each of these. So you can see when you look at that 21,384, that that's the number of unexpired NPL cardholders as of the last day of the previous month. So for each of them, you can see there's at least one. Some of them have 2 scorecards, like community outreach has the number of events and the people reached. Program engagement over there has the number of events and the attendance. But most of them just have a single number there, and that's showing the fiscal year to date total. Since the fiscal year just ended last month, that is all of the data. So it's May 2024 through April 2025. And then under each of those main numbers, there's a smaller one you can see that's a percentage, and that's the percentage change indicator, comparing it to the same time period from the last year. And those automatically show up as green with a little upward arrow if it's a percentage increase, and red with a down arrow if it's a percentage decrease. So that is everything about the data that's on this page. A couple of other things I wanted to note. I think I'm scrolled down as far as I can be about this page. So for this page and for the monthly statistics pages that we'll get to shortly, I formatted these intentionally so that the size of this canvas in the report matches the size of a standard piece of printer paper in landscape orientation, because I wanted to make sure that there was some flexibility in terms of the ways this can be shared with folks. So it can and will be shared as this live link, this live Looker Studio link. But I know when I talked to Kate and Kelly about what are the ways you envision sharing this information, we also wanted to be able to easily plug it into things like the board packet. Maybe you want to be able to print it out and take it as a handout if you're going to a meeting, if you're doing a presentation. And I wanted it to be really simple, that you don't have to like mess with margins and all that stuff. And maybe you end up stretching something out or making it so small that it's not readable. That I wanted to make sure that you could just go up to that share button in the top right. And there in that drop down, there's a download this report that you can download it as a PDF. You can do the whole report, or you can just do specific pages. So that's one piece about those. The other thing that we added down in the bottom right, you can just see the top of it in that little footer. This is something I know that came up during the March meeting when you were doing the little sneak peek, is that someone had asked, where does it tell us how recently this was updated? If you're viewing it on like the live version in your web browser, down here, Looker Studio automatically puts something that says data last updated with the date and the timestamp. But if you are downloading this as a PDF, that doesn't get transferred. And so I wanted to make sure that that didn't get lost if you were downloading this to give it to someone in hard copy. So I just kind of mirrored that same sort of footnote that is automatically over here to say this has been updated with the most recent available data as of, and then there's the date and the timestamp of when you're actually looking at it and downloading the report. And I put that same footnote on the 3 monthly ones too, because those are the 4 that are structured in such a way that you could download them as a PDF. So I think that's everything about this page. Any initial questions before I move into some of the other pages?
I have a question just in general about Looker Studio because I'm not familiar with it. Is this page accessible, like in terms of screen reader compatibility?
Oh yeah, that's actually something that I was going to put on our agenda for our next project meeting, because it's something I need to look into more. I'm not entirely sure from like the screen reader standpoint, like you were saying, that's something that we need to look at. That's a great question, though. Thank you for bringing that up.
How often does it update?
Yeah, so, and I think this came up a little bit too when you were doing the sneak peek. So the thing about the data that's in this dashboard is it's coming from lots of different places. Some of them are going to be entered via Google Forms, like I talked about before. Those are ones that they are directly connected to this.
That's real.
So it's not necessarily real time though, because the thing about this is all of these different, they're called scorecards, these little numbers, have a time filter that's on them that when you move over to the next month in the calendar, it's automatically going to then update it to the data from the previous month. And I did that intentionally so that things could kind of stay a little bit more uniform because there are certain buckets of data that aren't entered through Google Forms and so aren't directly connected to this that are being pulled on a monthly basis by staff. So they're going into Communico or they're going into SenSource or wherever the case may be to pull that data report for the entire month. They're doing that sometime between the 1st and like the 5th or the 7th of the month. And then they're copying that report over into the main spreadsheet, not doing any manipulation to it. And then it will show up in this report. So it's not like someone checked a book out right now and it pops up there. No, because it's also automatically set to only be showing through the last full completed month, just because of the fact that there are those data categories that are pulled in that way. Does that make sense? Yep. I know, wouldn't that be a dream if it was directly connected to every single one of the data sources and pulling it automatically? Any other questions about this?
Good job on that 100% increase in auditorium rentals.
Thank you. That was thanks to the board approving that.
Expect to see that every year.
Yep. 100%. I think that it's safe to say that we will double it next year.
Yeah, and these are, like I said, this is real data. There are a couple places where things might change a little bit, like program engagement. We're still working on getting all of the virtual programs from last fiscal year in there. So that might change a little bit. The meeting room one might change slightly too, but there's not any fake data in here the way there was fake data when you saw the snapshot. Okay. So that's the fiscal year to date. Then the monthly ones go to kind of the next level of granularity. Come on, you can do it. Okay. Sometimes it takes a minute for everything to load. There we go. Okay, so these 3 pages are all going to be structured in the same way. So I'm not going to, again, belabor going through every single one of these individually. But the way these monthly dashboards, monthly pages are set up is that we've still got that same color coding and formatting, the use of icons, the definitions that we saw on that first page. Also still have those fiscal year to date total scorecards over in the right, so we don't lose that. But the addition in the middle here are these combo charts. So you can see month to month what those numbers are, not just the fiscal year to date total. So in each of these charts, the columns are showing you the totals by month for the current fiscal year. In this case, it's the fiscal year that just ended. And then those dashed lines are showing the monthly numbers for the previous fiscal year. So you have it gives you the ability to look and see, were there trends this year? Do they match trends from last year? Were there any really big discrepancies between, how many building visits there were in November last fiscal year, versus November this current fiscal year? If you're looking, let's see if I can, there we go. So if you were downloading this as a static PDF, the only numbers you're going to see are the ones that have labels there on the columns for the current fiscal year. If you're looking at it live like this, one of the benefits is this little piece of interactivity that you can hover over top and you can see the exact numbers for the current fiscal year and for the previous fiscal year as well. So that's a little added benefit of looking at it live at the Looker Studio link. And I think that's everything about these pages. There's 5 of these charts per page. It just worked out that way. We were never going to fit all of them onto a single page and still have it be something that could be printed out in a standard size PDF. So I'll just click through. Thanks for your patience while I'm driving this. There we go. So then it's just the same format for all of these. This next page has the 3 pieces of data and the sharing books and materials section, and then the first 2 for using spaces and services, which are the 2 technology pieces of computer use and Wi-Fi use. And then this last monthly one has the last 5 items in this using spaces and services section of study room and meeting room use, programs, and one-on-ones. So all those 4 first pages together are ones that, like I said, are intended to also be shared as a PDF. So if you wanted to just get the fiscal year to date page and that's all you want to share, if you wanted to get all of them and you've got like a 2-pager, a front and back 2-pager, you could do it that way. But these are, I think, probably the ones that are going to be most relevant in an ongoing way that the board is looking at and that probably staff is looking at too. Any questions about these? All right. And then the rest of these tabs here, and I'm not going to go through each of these individually. You'll all be able to peruse these on your own more and may have more questions then as you do that, but just to give you a sense of what these look like. So starting with the patron feedback tab, this is where they get the most detailed. These pages, you can download them as a PDF. They're not going to be a normal size PDF. These are really intended to be viewed live at the Looker Studio link because there's also some interactivity built into them with filters. So this patron feedback one, I think, Kate, you may have briefly shown this.
I don't think I showed this, but we are going to be shifting from the PDF patron feedback to this so that if you guys want to drill down more, see like, are there other similar comments, you'll be able to do that.
Yeah. So yeah, this, like Kate said, is intended to replace that. Should look a little familiar, the way this table is set up. So there's the date of the comment from the patron, whether it was received via email, phone, on paper, or in person. The comment itself, the response from NPL if there was one, and then the person who was responding. You can scroll, you can peruse the table by just scrolling if you wanted to look through everything. But if you want to look at specific things, you can use one or more of these. You can use them in combination. So if you only wanted to see comments that were about administration, you can filter just to show those. Same thing for the category field, which is right below it. So this is something I think, Kelly, do you do this? That you are the one that is in the category?
Yes.
Yeah. So if there are particular categories of comments that you're wanting to see, you can filter in that way. You can filter by year and or month together. And then the last 2 controls here are ones where if there's like a particular word you're wanting to search for in either the comment field or in the NPL response field, you can use those. So I think I did an example for myself when I was making sure that these worked right of just putting in the word book, or I think I put in the word yoga because there were a bunch of comments at one point.
One meeting.
But I was like, it works. It brought up all the comments about that specifically.
Did Jay tell her to do that?
Sorry.
Parting gift.
Right? This is Jay's ultimate prank.
But so you can use it in that way too. Again, you can use all of these in combination. But yeah, so this will be something, and the way that it works too is that if you are just using, if you're sharing the link to this Looker Studio and you use the share button and copy the link, it's going to be the link that takes you to that first page. But you can also grab this specific link. And so Kate may, provide that to all of you so that you could go directly to this page if you're wanting to peruse comments. And then the rest of these pages, I'll just show you one as an example. There's these 4 detail pages about a few categories of data where there are more ways to slice and dice it. And those are collections, circulation, card holders, programs, and one-on-ones. And so these are the most detailed pages, again, that aren't intended to be downloaded as a PDF, but you can take like screenshots from it if Kate or Kelly wanted to include it in a report. So you can see for this one that's focused only on physical collections, we've got that large scorecard there that says the total materials in collection as of the most recent month. So as of April 2025, those were the total materials in the collection. I also put 2 little scorecards there for the number of materials added and removed. And then this section down here, there's these 4 categories of read, listen, watch, and do. And that's where you can see those same types of numbers, but by material type. So if you're interested in just looking at books or just looking at music or whatever the case may be. And then down here, there's a couple of simple bar charts that are showing you for the most recently completed fiscal year, or the current fiscal year, that it's the monthly data for all materials, and then the number of items added, number of items removed for all materials. And this one has this filter here. So if you were, again, only interested in seeing for books, you can filter to just see those. And you can do more than one too. It doesn't have to just be a single book. So that's what the detail pages look like. There's a similar vibe to all of the detail pages. Some of them have some extra things that others don't have, but they're all kind of built in this same sort of format for folks who want to really dig deeper into details. And I think that's everything about the dashboard. Is there anything else I missed that you all want to highlight, Kelly or Kate?
I'm curious when this will be.
Live?
Yeah.
June.
So, yeah.
We will have, we still have to talk to Linda about how we want to display it on the website. So I'm not quite sure if that will be ready in June,
Yeah.
but for
guys
the
will
board
think this-
packet, we'll be starting to pull statistical data to share with all of you for the June board meeting, and staff have some of the procedures, and then we're finalizing others. So yeah.
Well, I'm excited for
Yeah.
our patrons and the public to be able to access.
Yeah,
this on the
right.
website.
And I also think that it's really going to make a difference in strategic planning.
100%.
Oh, yes.
Because I think that certainly plugging in statistics with each of the categories, there it is. I think it's just an amazing tool. And the way that you've done it is so thoughtful. It really,
Very user friendly, which is great.
really
Very
wonderful.
good.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you. Yeah. What's that?
I'm intrigued by your brain. Like, that is fascinating to me.
Well, and I know this is a nerdy thing to say, but I've had a lot of fun working on it. Yeah, and I really appreciated, from Kate, Kelly, Susan, and Kim, there's been a lot of like fielding of my questions, especially as someone who's external and doesn't know what everything is immediately. There's been a lot, they've been very gracious and patient with all of my questions as we've been building this, and the feedback from them, and then from other folks too, like when we were working on the Google Forms and it was brought to all the managers, and getting feedback directly from them about like, actually, this might be a really hard way to do it. Could we switch this? The people who are actually either doing it themselves or supervising the people that are going to be using those tools, that's obviously been really important and helpful in getting to where we are right now. So, yeah. Great.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Sorry if I talked way too long.
Already.
I think she did. Drive me off.
Yeah, brain can take all
Right.
that and
I have some personal things in my life I can use, Mallory. Okay, moving on to the Park District Auditorium Usage Memo of Understanding.
Yes, so we were approached last month from the Park District asking for a very specific request, which is to use the auditorium for 5 days in December because their facility will be under construction and they want to host theater performances. So they were here this afternoon and did a walkthrough of our space and think it will work well, which is great. So as we mentioned earlier, even tonight, we do generally charge fees for auditorium rentals. We do not currently have any kind of an intergovernmental agreement or memo of understanding with the Park District that fees would be waived for them because they are intergovernmental partners. And so there's kind of two options that I wanted to present to all of you to see which, if either you're interested in pursuing, and then we can bring something back in June. So the first would be to do a memo of understanding with the Park District to allow them to use the auditorium in December while their facility is under construction. There's, like I said, 5 days that they would need to use the library. They would need to have a couple of parking spots. I think it was 3 reserved, as well as have this room booked out as a green room for the performers. So we could do that as just a short-term memo of understanding. They can use the facility. We would not charge them any fees. The second would be to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Park District wherein we spell out that we use their facilities, which we do quite often for like Stories in the Park, without any fees incurred. And that actually is something that is already in practice, but never has been formalized. And then vice versa, they could use our facility without incurring any fees. And we do have some language about making sure that insurance is covered by either party. And so I'm wondering which direction, if either you're interested in, and we can draft some language with our attorney and bring something back for June for the board to look at.
Kelly, in terms of an intergovernmental agreement, is that just for the December, or is this something that you're
More
broadly ongoing? Okay. Is there, I mean, it's too early to know, but this wouldn't hamper the library's programming in December.
It would not. No, we actually, there was one date that they did ask about where we already had a movie scheduled, and we said that would not work, so.
Are we sure it doesn't impact the new final schedule at the high school?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, good question.
That is a good
That's
question.
a good question. Your pizza princess has arrived.
Yes. Thank you. We appreciate that. That's excellent. Excellent thing you said.
And what hours are they specifically talking?
So it's Tuesday, December 9th from 12 to 4. And then December 9th, 10th, and 11th from 5:30 to 8:30. And Saturdays, December 13th and 14th from 9 to 5.
And how do they anticipate it will impact parking?
I think that there will be an impact on parking for the performance, which are the December 13th and 14th dates. The impact on parking for the rehearsals, which is the 9th through the 11th, will be minimal.
It's mostly be being dropped off.
So my one concern would be using this room as a green room. Is this for so that's the kids' performance?
No, they would use this like to stage the kids, and they could put their stuff in here and change costumes.
Just make sure that there was some understanding about it. Anything got damaged if it's being used.
There's a lot of technology in here.
Spent a lot of time with 10-year-olds. I think they're not so careful.
C25 hasn't posted their exams.
Yeah, we know it'll be December, but
Yeah.
we don't know. But we can call them and. Yeah. And,
So, the Park Districts, you're referring to the leisure center that they normally use? Is that the alternative that they use the?
They have a theater there, yeah.
Okay.
And since it's gonna be under
Yeah.
construction, right?
In terms of the short-term versus long-term MOUs, is there any precedent with other intergovernmental MOUs outside of the Park District or the library, or MOUs that the library signs with other
Governmental.
yeah.
Do you want, I mean,
So-
Kelly knows all too, so.
We have intergovernmental agreements with the school districts for teacher library cards, as well as reciprocal borrowing with our Boundless ebook lending platform. And then we also have an intergovernmental agreement with the Glenbrook Sanitary District. They have meetings here. And so we have an agreement that they can use the meeting room I think it's because we limit how many times you can rent a room throughout the year. It covers that, and then we post their agendas and make sure that they are able to comply with OMA.
That if we went down the intergovernmental agreement path, do we have any sense of how frequently this would actually happen? That they would?
Infrequently.
Yeah, that's
I think
The other time that we hear from them is generally about once a year in the summer. They like to use the auditorium to show a film for the camps that are located at Greenbrier. They'll walk over and do a movie.
I like the idea of doing a longer term agreement and using what we engaged in with the Civic Foundation as kind of a template for that, of like other library sponsored programs get priority and you need to clear your dates with that. Like, I think while that's not intergovernmental, it's the same spirit as we have space available, we're willing to partner with you. And I do absolutely think there needs to be an MOU. I won't be here next month, so it doesn't, I mean, my opinion still matters, but I think having a long-term practice, especially knowing that we are also using Park District facilities and institutionalizing that so that everybody has something to go back and look on. The December piece, I think there's still questions that need to be worked out, but in general, the intergovernmental agreement makes sense.
and they are a community partner. They're
Yeah.
fellow unit of government. I mean, this is what we do. So
I think it's probably safe to assume that the 225 exams are gonna be the 15th through the 19th or the 16th through the 19th of December, which means that the 13th and the 14th would be the weekend prior to those. I'm not saying, you know, I don't know what changes, if anything, with that, but I think it's that there is gonna be an overlap with the weekend before exams and the weekend of the performance.
Yeah.
So we'll need to talk about. Which the Park District may also just want to know in general.
Right, right.
Yes. Also aren't thinking about the shift in the 225 schedule.
right, yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, feedback, questions?
Do you have what you need from us, Kelly?
So what I'm hearing is we are interested in doing a more general intergovernmental agreement. So we'll work on that to bring back to the June meeting.
Thank you, Kelly. 4th of July parade.
So this is something that over the past few years, we've talked more in depth, but really, Linda has already filled out our application and is working on putting together kind of what we want to do. So I wanted to check in with the board, hoping that you would like to still participate, but formally asking, and then also asking if anyone has any feedback that I can pass along to Linda about kind of how we want to do it. Last year, we chose to not do a car, and that worked out really well, but we have done cars in the past. We've been staying away from floats, so I'm not even going to put that out there as an option. But would love to hear from the board if A, you would like to participate, and B, if you have any thoughts on how we are structuring our 4th of July entry.
For years ago, the Glenview Library had everybody out there with book carts, you know, decorated book carts, just, you know, pushing.
Very popular on TikTok on 4th of July.
Is that a suggestion?
Yes.
Okay.
If it happens on TikTok, it's a suggestion.
They weren't doing, it wasn't like a book cart drill team. They weren't dancing, right?
No, they just,
I've
they
seen it.
moved around a lot,
I
but,
could do it.
I mean, I know book cart drill teams, like Schaumburg used to compete nationally.
Yeah.
There are book
I am not suggesting that unless somebody felt very inspired.
I will send everyone some videos
Yeah.
tomorrow. Please.
Be kind of funny.
Maybe they
Wow.
can demonstrate during
It
our.
autofills and-
So
Sorry.
This was like decades ago. I don't know if
That's
What a damage.
Well-
These are retired ones.
Yeah, I don't know how Glenview did it. I just, that, there they were, you know.
Well, we have, like, I don't even know how many book carts we have in the library. If Anna would be able to tell us. But yes. that's-
Something to put on the dashboard.
Yes. How many book carts?
Amazon actually sells a library book cart precision drill team manual.
All right.
Oh, this is the
There you go.
Hold on that at another library. I'm sure someone's got it.
Okay, just remember that that would require a lot of practice. And we would have to comply with the Open Meetings Act if the board decided to create a book drill team.
I think you're confused. We thought staff was doing that part.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was not what I was.
I'm not
hearing.
allowed to shelve books. You're gonna let me push a book cart?
That would be extremely amusing if we all got together to practice and it was an open meeting.
That would.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we recorded it and posted it to the webpage.
I sense a new TikTok channel coming out.
One way or another, this library is going viral.
Book cards, anything else?
I think that walking was fine I like book cards are a great addition if we do make that happen. I don't think the car was necessary. The group seemed fine walking. I think Nimesh and I were the only ones there last year. Jamie was, but
Oh, yeah.
it was a good group. It was an appropriately sized group.
We
It
had the
was
bubble
fun.
machine.
Yeah.
We did, and we will have bubbles again.
We had to have Nimesh solve our bubble problems.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Who knew? We got a whole lesson in viscosity.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do anything significantly larger,
Bubbles and walking and book cards.
and I would be happy to participate.
Okay. Would anyone else like to volunteer now?
I'm gonna get back to you. I was just
There.
looking at me.
Yeah,
Make
because
sure that I'm in town. Okay.
I will do it.
Yeah, we have to go.
Yeah.
And family members are also welcome.
I'll come too. Hope we not roll as many deep family members as I did today.
No promises on
Okay, I
family
will
members.
remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
We haven't even met yet.
Yes. All the children. Barbara, okay. Wonderful.
Great. Okay, we do not need to go into closed session tonight. And agenda building for next month will include executive director goal review, park district auditorium memo of understanding follow-up, updated FOIA policy, approved new bank resolutions for new signers. This is riveting. And approving ICLAR. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add to next month's agenda? You will have other chances.
Can we get an update on some of the facilities outsourcing and just how that's going? I saw a memo that I think a gentleman just started.
Yeah, Jason just started and Anna, yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And just a reminder that next month's meeting, this is mostly for me because I'm the one who forgets things, is the Wednesday, the 18th and not the Thursday, the 19th.
Yeah. Because of Juneteenth.
Yes, because of Juneteenth.
Anything else? Then we will adjourn at, I don't even know what time it is.
It's like 9:04.
9:07 p.m.